Well, normally on this channel, these videos are to help you guys catch more fish and get more bites, but this video is going to focus on what to do once you've got a fish in the net. Catching and then releasing your fish in good condition ensures that that fish can go on and thrive, can grow bigger, and maybe make someone else's day too. So let's get started. Fish safety actually starts before you even cast out into the lake. Setting up safe rigs is really important to ensure that if you snap your line, that fish can't get tethered and isn't dragging around excess tackle, potentially endangering it. To set up a safe rig, it's very important to ensure that any feeder or weight on your line can discharge or slide up off the line to ensure the fish isn't dragging it around. If you're float fishing and the float is fixed on the line, be sure to use a lighter breaking strain hook length than your main line. This ensures that should you get snagged in something, pull for a break, or potentially be snapped up by a fish, that fish only breaks the last bit of line and not the line above your float. When specimen fishing with braided hook lengths, you're often using a stronger breaking strain hook length than you are in your main line. If you happen to be doing this, then make sure that should you break your line, the fish can still discharge that lead. So a lead clip works great for this, as you can push the tail rubber on gently and the lead can pop off if you get snagged or snap your line. Alternatively, there's the helicopter rig presentation, like you'd use on a chod rig. This enables the hook link to slide up off the top bead and slide completely off the line, meaning the fish is no longer attached to the lead. We have actually made a dedicated video all about lead arrangements and setups, so if you want to fish a safe inline, lead clip or helicopter setup, definitely check that video out. We'll put a link in the description to that tutorial. So fast forward and you've got a fish in your net. Now is the time to rest that fish in the margins whilst you prepare your unhooking mat, sling and camera gear. It's best just to give that fish a moment whilst you sort yourself out, rather than struggling to find those bits of kit once the fish is already on the bank. Lay your unhooking mat down somewhere reasonably flat. Putting it on a sloping surface like this definitely won't help, as your fish is going to slide off. So find somewhere flat to lay your unhooking mat. That rhymes. There are some occasions where we won't use an unhooking mat, like when you're wading in a river and the fish is never really leaving the water. You're holding it over the water at all times, so it's safe. Also, if we're fishing for quite small fish and the ground is nice and soft, nice wet grass isn't going to cause a small fish any damage. However, as soon as you're fishing for big fish, or you're fishing somewhere which has got gravel or mud on the ground, dropping a fish on the ground like that is going to cause it a lot of damage, and therefore an unhooking mat is absolutely essential. With the mat in position, it's important to wet that down and wet the sling too. This will protect the fish's mucus coating. It will stop you from taking the slime off of the fish, and also if the mat is very hot in the sun, it will cool it down to protect the fish that you've caught. Now's a good time to get your camera ready and also zero the sling. With the sling wet, you can adjust the scales to make sure you're weighing your fish accurately. With smaller fish, you can just lift the net up straight out of the water, but if it's a bigger, heavier fish, you'll need to break the net down and roll it down to help make lifting the fish out of the water a lot easier. If you've landed a very large fish, or if the fishery rules dictate it, you'll actually need to lift the fish from the water using a weigh sling. When you do this, if you're lifting the fish with the sling or just the net, just be certain to check that the fish's fins are flat against the body, as a fin bent back on itself can get damaged when lifting the fish from the water. Once on the mat, you can unhook the fish and get that line and tackle out of the way. You can then take photos and weigh your fish if you'd like to. Be sure that whilst the fish is on the bank, you keep it nice and wet by splashing water from a bucket on it from time to time. This is particularly important when it's very hot, as you don't want the fish to dry out. When holding a fish, be sure not to lift it too far off the ground. Always be kneeling or crouching to ensure that a fish isn't dropped from any height. On a carp like this, one hand can slide underneath its head and then grip with your fingers either side of the pectoral fin, and the other hand can go down by the anal fin. Holding a fish up like this means that should it begin to flip or wriggle, you can roll it back in and tuck it into your body, keeping that fish safe. Before returning your fish to the water, you can then apply any carp care kit or antiseptic to any marks or hook holds or lifted scales or damage on the fish. First of all, take a cloth and dry out the area that's affected. Then apply some antiseptic to the area. That will help disinfect the wound. The next thing I will demonstrate on my hand because I really want to show you how important this stage is. This is Propolis. Propolis is I think it's made by bees, but it's a completely natural material that when you apply it to a wound or an area of the fish's body, you can then pour a little bit of water onto that afterwards, and it creates a waxy seal over the wound. That stops any parasites or bacteria from getting into the wound and potentially causing that fish more damage. As you can see, it's very hard to get this waxy seal off. So don't get it on your hands, and make sure you don't apply it to the fish's eyes or gills. Simply apply it to the area that you've just disinfected, on the fish's mouth or on its body. Once you're all done, you can return the fish to the water as quickly as possible, ensuring that when you lift the sling, you check that the fish's fins are flat against the body before lifting the fish back to the water. Let the fish have a moment to regain its energy before letting it swim off. And that's it, job done. A careful catch and release ensures that you are protecting the fish stocks of our lakes and rivers, and means that there will be more and potentially bigger fish for future generations to catch even after we're gone. Cheers and thanks for watching.